Welcome back, guys. My name is Chris, and in this video, I want to tackle the subject of how to make NetSuite faster. It's a subject I get asked about quite often. People will complain about the general latency and lags when they're interacting with the NetSuite system, especially if you're dealing with a newer system or you're just a user that doesn't go into the system very often. You may find that opening up records, generating reports, trying to go to specific tools can be very slow in the system. And when it comes to how to speed up NetSuite, the answer is there's not really a good way to speed up the system. It's kind of a problem that you encounter when you're dealing with any cloud-based ERP system. If you've ever had to deal with SAP S/4HANA, for example, it's actually in many cases quite a bit slower than NetSuite. Microsoft Business Central also has lags when doing especially heavy records or report generation. So it's just a general problem when you're dealing with cloud-based ERPs. So it's something to think with. Now, that being said, if you're going to talk to, let's say, an Oracle NetSuite sales representative, they're going to tell you that if you buy an upgraded tier of NetSuite, then you're going to improve the system performance. And the answer is that is not accurate in 90% of cases. Really, what they're specifically referring to is integrations, and if you've got a system that has an enormous amount of suite scripts that are running. So when you've got, let's say, integrations with Ramp and all kinds of e-commerce websites, etc., and a lot of information is passing back and forth, it's a bit of a bottleneck. Without getting too technical, you can have a situation where there's so much running through these integrations that it is slowing down the system, especially when interacting with those integrations. And in those cases, yes, if you pay for a higher service tier in NetSuite, it will alleviate that problem. But it will not handle what most people complain about, which is just the general slowness in the system. You're trying to pull up a customer record, save a certain transaction, generate a report. None of those things will be made faster by having a more expensive version of NetSuite. And frankly, the sales reps know that, but again, most people are not aware of exactly how this works, so it's easy to position this upsell for the NetSuite clients. So just be aware of the fact that that is generally not an option for what most people are trying to solve. So what are some of the other solutions? Again, there's not necessarily a quick fix, but there are a few shortcuts you can utilize to make the system faster. So first off, understand that if you are a user that is frequently going into NetSuite and interacting with specific tools, NetSuite will actually tend to favor you. It's a bit complicated how it works exactly, but if you take a user who's going into NetSuite daily and a user who maybe goes in once a month, they will actually experience different speeds in terms of the various records and reports that they interact with. Another point to keep in mind is session caching. And what I mean by that is when you log into the system, no matter who you are, when you go in for the first time and you interact with various records, the system for that session will cache the information in terms of what you interact with. So if you open up a particular customer record, it will save and cache that information. And the next time in that same session that you open up that particular record or type of record, it will generate and pull it up faster. It's almost like the system is warming up what you're interacting with. And utilizing that tactic, you can actually use that to make the system faster in general. One trick that I've seen people take advantage of is they'll have a folder on their browser of bookmarks for all the different types of records, tools, reports that they commonly interact with. And what they do is they load up NetSuite at the beginning of their day, and they simply click on that bookmark folder, and it opens up all those windows at the same time. And they can simply drink their coffee, take a couple minutes while NetSuite's figuring all of that out. And now for the remainder of the day, as that user goes through their various duties, as long as they were things that they were bookmarked at the beginning, it will do those and load them faster. So that's one trick that I've seen quite a few different people utilize. It's a bit tedious, right? You have to know what records you're interacting with. You have to have them in a bookmark folder. Make sure you pull that up and load it all at the beginning of the day. Another solution using the same tactic, but from a different standpoint, is there's a particular app called Caching for NetSuite where it basically automates the process. So instead of just each individual user having to have bookmarked pages, you can have the system for any particular user know what records and reports that user is going to be interacting with. And as soon as they log into the system, in the background, it warms up or pulls up and caches those records and tools for the particular user every single time. So just to give you a quick demonstration of what that even means and how that works, let's take a look at it in NetSuite. All right, so here we are in NetSuite, and what we're looking at, really there's not that much to show. This is a portlet that comes along with this NetSuite caching app, and it kind of demonstrates what it's doing and the effect that it would have on you as a user. So you can see the first column here is showing, in this particular case for this demo account, the various records that I told the system, hey, these are things I would interact with repeatedly. So it's like a profit and loss report. We can see it's got sales orders, customer records, vendor bills. And if we take a look at them in that first column of initial load time, it's how long it took the system initially to load these things up. That would be how long it would take you, for example, to look at a vendor bill record. It would take, for this particular demo account, to pull up that record, it would have taken 8 seconds or almost 8 seconds. Then the second column of current load time basically shows now that these things have been warmed up in the background without the user having to do anything. Now, if I try to go in this demo account and pull up a vendor bill record, on average, it's going to take about 1 second to pull up. Similarly, if I try to pull up a profit and loss report, it's going to take about 1/4 of a second. So it's taking advantage of that caching element to automate all the warming up in the background. Now, the downside of something like this is obviously it's not a free app. You do need to pay for it. I never talk about explicit prices in my videos because they change all the time. But one thing I will say is this is a suite bundle, so you can search NetSuite caching. I think it's from Next Digital. You can find that on the Suite Bundler. But if you find it and take a look at it, it does come with a 1-month free trial. So it is something you can try out. You can see if it actually makes the system faster. And after a month, if you feel like it was worthwhile and really made things more efficient for your users, you can obviously pay for it and have it from then on. All right, so that's an overview look at the subject of how to make NetSuite faster. Again, there's no simple fix. There's no great answer in terms of just a magic bullet that's going to make the system much faster. The only thing I can really say is as technology gets better, these native cloud ERP systems do get faster and faster. So there is a little bit of a light at the end of that tunnel. But overall, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And with all that in mind, I hope to see you in the next video.